Today is the 7th class of our meditation seminar. We have already discussed from the group of the niyamas, the niyama of purity and of satisfaction. What we're going to discuss today is a third niyama, which is devotion or surrender to God. Now, there's something happening with the sound there. Yes, we have started. Try the television, turning it down. Here. Okay. It's okay now, I think, huh? The concept of God in yoga is free for each being to decide for himself. Yoga is not a religion. It doesn't worship some special being. It allows each person to relate to the divine in his or her own way. That could mean relating to the divine as a form, such as the form of Christ, or for a Hindu, perhaps for the form of Krishna or Rama or various deities that they have. Or it could be a connection with a divine source, such as light, consciousness, energy. Or we can relate to God as one of the divine attributes, virtues such as love, peace, righteousness, truth. So every human is free in the path of yoga to choose for himself how he wants to relate to the universal, how he wants to relate to that source of life. What is important, however, is that he does relate with that source of life and creates a relationship with it. Now we will call this an inner relationship or a vertical relationship, whereas the other relationships we have are outer relationships or horizontal relationships. That is, we try to obtain a sense of happiness, a sense of security, a sense of self-worth by creating relationships with people and objects and situations around us. But these are all temporary and changing. And it's difficult to have a real sense of security, a real sense of peace in our relationships when our security or peace is dependent on these other beings or objects or money or whatever it may be. So what we're going to talk about today is how a relationship with God or relationship with the universal relates to meditation, and how it can be very helpful for our meditation, and how that it also may be a part of our meditation. Okay? Now, in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which is a book about self-control and about meditation, it's interesting that 3 times he mentions this concept of devotion to God, or surrender to God. How can we understand this? We can understand this by understanding that the process of spiritual growth is the process of becoming free from the ego, free from the limited sensation of what I am, the identification of myself as this separate body in this separate personality which is in danger from its environment, and all of the defense mechanisms which I create. These defense mechanisms obstruct my awareness of my larger self or of my higher self. They keep me in a small and fearful space. Whereas the feeling that I have a relationship with this divine source, which is all powerful, all present, omnipresent, and is there for me at all moments, is perhaps the greatest and perhaps the only lasting sense of security that a person can have. Because if I don't have a sense of security, it's impossible for me to meditate, because my mind is going to want to control. My mind is going to want to think about how it's going to control the people and situations around it. Meditation is a process of surrender, and I can only surrender when I feel secure enough to surrender. If I don't feel secure, I cannot surrender. A child who has total faith in the parents can sleep anywhere. In a car, in the parents' arms, in a room in which people are talking and dancing and singing and eating. We cannot do that. We don't have that ability of surrender because we don't have that faith, that we don't have that trust, that sense of total trust, you see. We have learned that we have to protect ourselves. So this relationship with the divine is one of the first stepping stones towards feeling able to let go, feeling able to surrender to life's events, because we believe that these events are being controlled by a benign being, by a being who is aware of our presence and our existence, and a being who is just and wise and will allow to happen to us only what is useful for our evolutionary process. Now I said useful, I didn't say pleasant. So unpleasant things may happen. Because God loves me or because I have a relationship with God, it doesn't mean that unpleasant things won't happen. And it doesn't mean that God has abandoned me when unpleasant things happen. It simply means that I need to gain the faith that this, which is unpleasant, is the most useful, the most beneficial for my evolution and for the evolution of the beings around me. There's an interesting story about Saint Teresa of Spain, who was going out with the horse and carriage to administer to some people that were ill, and there was this huge storm. And as she was going along, the horses slipped and the carriage rolled over, and she fell into the mud with the horses. And she looks up at the sky and says, God, why are you doing this to me? I am going and serving your children. I am doing your work. And she hears this sound which says, this is how I treat my friends. And she answers back, and that's why you have so few friends. So, because we should not equate God's love with pleasant experiences. Neither should we equate it with negative experiences. We should just have faith that whatever the experience is, pleasant or we don't have to be programmed that I have to have negative experiences in order to grow. That would be a wrong programming. But just be open. And I can be open when I have that faith. Okay. So we're interested in how we can create this type of relationship. Now, some people like to focus on a form. I see the form, although I don't believe that the divine can be limited to any form, and it would be a mistake to limit the divine to a specific form. I believe that a form can act as a focal point, a window to a room, and that by focusing on this form, we can get into the room, which is beyond form. So there are religions which focus on form, such as Christianity and Hinduism, and then there is Islam and Buddhism, which move away from the form, and Judaism, which also doesn't give too much attention to the form, in which God is imagined as this omnipresent energy or consciousness or being, indescribable. But if someone is inclined towards worship, This can also be a very nice prelude or a complement to our meditation. We can have an altar in our home. We can have a candle or a picture or a flower. We can light incense. None of these are prerequisites for meditation, and none of these are the essence of meditation, because the essence of the meditation is internal, but they can create an atmosphere, an external atmosphere which is conducive for the mind to move into this direction. So this is one possibility. Also, the concentrating on a form, the form acts as an accumulative, that is a center which accumulates the energy of our thoughts. As we all pray to a certain being, that becomes a depository of all of our will and energy, and a source for us to take and give. I'm not saying that this being didn't exist, but I say that we also strengthen them and increase them through our prayers. Another way in which focusing on a particular being, such as the Christ, is useful is that he is an example. And these beings are examples of behavior. It's not only their teachings which inspire us, but the way they lived their lives and the way they put into practice what they taught. For example, the way in Christ forgave the people that crucified him becomes an example for us to be able to forgive people who do us harm. The way he approached death fearlessly and conquered death reminds us that there is no death. The way in which he taught love and exemplified that love. All of these become examples or frames of reference in our mind which help us move on in the spiritual path. Now, if someone is not religiously inclined, then he could simply focus on any of the spiritual virtues, such as love, such as peace, such as truth, such as righteousness, such as equality, such as humility, any virtue which he considers to be something in which he believes. I think that this is perhaps the highest way of focusing, not the highest, but a higher way of focusing on the divine than focusing on a specific form. Especially today when so many teachers are traveling around. I think it's a mistake to worship these teachers or to make gods out of them, because they are men and women. They are humans who have their faults, and you can always become disillusioned and hurt by putting any person on a pedestal and worshipping them. But you can never become disillusioned by serving love, by serving peace, by serving justice or equality. These are absolutes. They can never change, whereas people can change. Now, what are some of the methods of this path? This is called Bhakti Yoga. We mentioned it, I think, on the first day. Bhakti Yoga is the path of devotion. Now, I'll explain to you some of the methods of this path, and then we will explain them in detail. One method is prayer or invocation. Another is chanting. Another is the repetition of the name of God, that is repeating the name of God over and over again, or a small prayer throughout the day, which for Christians would be the most common repetitive prayer is, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me. Another technique or way of moving along this path of Bhakti Yoga is reading stories about the lives of saints or of persons who have gone before us, and reading about the difficulties that they went through and the strength and the faith which they showed in confronting these difficulties. Another method is the surrender of our will to God's will. The surrendering and saying, well, let your will be done here. I accept here whatever you consider to be most useful for all involved. Another method is faith in the power and the strength and the wisdom of God. And another way is to channel our love energy towards the divine. Now when we channel our love energy towards the divine, it's different than when you channel it towards someone else. For example, when you love someone, say your spouse or even your children, they want you to love only them. And they say, if you love me, you will love no one else. And if you love someone else, they become jealous and angry. Whereas when you love Christ, he says, if you love me, you have to love the beggar, you have to love the imprisoned, you have to help the poor, because I exist in them. So when you love a universal being, you are led to love all beings. Whereas when you love a non-universal being, a being who is identified with himself, you get trapped into feeling that I must love only this person. So the love for the divine, you cannot talk about love for the divine without talking about love for all beings. It's an illusion. Anyone that says I love God, but I can't stand people, is misled. I mean, if you can't love people, you're not loving God, because people are nothing other than incarnations of divine energy. And the whole purpose of religion is to bring about this awareness that we are all creations of one energy, and we are all brothers and sisters, and that our ultimate goal must be to love unconditionally. Anytime religion leads us to close our hearts towards any beings, it's gone astray. And so when your religion tells you don't love the Muslims, or don't love the Hindus or the Buddhists, this religion has gone astray. And it's the same for all religions. Religion can never lead a person to closing his heart towards someone. So it must lead towards love towards all beings. Now let's look at some of the details, well, how these work in our lives in relationship to the meditation. Each of these serves to prepare the mind for meditation because it frees the mind from attachments on the physical plane. Because we start to have an inner source, an inner power source, and we get free from needing so much people and things around us. Also, it helps meditation because when we have faith, we relax. The only real security can be experienced when we have total faith. Otherwise, there is no other real security. You cannot be sure that you're not going to die today. And you cannot be sure that your loved ones are not going to die today. You cannot be sure that you're not going to lose your house in an earthquake today. You cannot be sure of anything in this physical world. The only thing you can be sure of, the only time you can be fully relaxed is when you believe that you are immortal, and when you believe that there is a divine plan which is governing everything that happens in your life and is allowing only what is beneficial for your evolution to happen. So only then can you say, I am at peace and I have nothing to worry about. Otherwise, if our security is based on anything outside of ourselves, we cannot relax. It could not be there in 5 minutes. Okay? So it gives us an internal security base. And then it gives us, having this internal security base, we are able to handle life's changes much more, with much less stress. It is known that loss of a loved one, especially of a child or a spouse, or loss of a job, or loss of a home, or loss of one's fortune, or loss of one's health, is one of the main factors leading towards stress, which creates psychosomatic illness and cancer. The ability of a person to handle loss will depend on his ability to have an internal security base. So that yes, I am feeling pain about this loss, but I still have my security base. And my security base is my relationship with God. It's my relationship with this being which perhaps I've never seen, I'm not able to experience. It's perhaps in a relationship with an idea, a concept in my mind, but I feel this relationship, I communicate. There is a give and take in this relationship. There is a continual conversation going on here. Just as any other conversation. I can't talk about relationship if there's no communication. So I will be communicating. I will experience, rather than telling my problems to all my friends who can't really solve my problems, I can begin telling my problems to this being. I can begin asking help from this being that is seeking my help and sharing with this being that which I'm feeling, my questions, and everything else. Now, let's look at prayer. What is prayer? Prayer is a form of communication with a divine being. It consists of various parts. One part is addressing ourselves to this being. That is, to whom am I talking? Am I talking to Christ? Am I talking to Buddha? Am I talking to Krishna? Am I talking to Allah? And how do I imagine this being? How do I imagine? Is this some man with a beard sitting on a throne in the sky giving out rewards and punishing people? Is this an energy? Is this a consciousness? I have to at some point clarify how I imagine what I mean about the word God. It's very possible that it is all this too. I mean, I perceive a number of levels of the divine. One level is the absolute, which has no name, no form, no attributes. You might just call it the void, the emptiness. On the other hand, I can experience it as light, as power, as love, as an omnipresent consciousness. On the other hand, I can experience it as the virtues, the spiritual qualities which are present in all of the universe. On the other hand, I can relate it to it as the form of Jesus Christ, having been born a Christian, but I don't reject the other forms. I respect them, although I don't pray to them. So I accept them as equally expressions of the divine. So each of you, for yourselves, will have to decide what you mean. Another aspect of prayer. Now, first of all, there's a little story about this too. You know, there was a young boy on the sea, and he was taking with a cup water from the sea and putting it in a bucket. And this monk came by from a nearby monastery, and he said, "Little boy, what are you doing?" And he says, "Well, I'm trying to put the sea in the cup." And the monk laughed, and he said, "You can't fit the sea in the cup." And the boy looked at him and says, "Yes, Father, and you must realize that you can't fit God in your mind." So the relationship between the sea and the cup is the relationship between God and our minds. It's not something that we can ever understand or perceive. It's something that we may experience, but when we transcend the mind, it'll definitely be a mind-blowing experience, as I say. I mean, there will not. When in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asked Krishna to show him his form, and at some point it became so terrifying that he asked Krishna to stop. He said, "I can't stand this. I can't hold this experience. It's too much." And he says, "Please stop." Another aspect of prayer is the expression of gratitude. Actually, very few people, most people are just asking and asking and asking. Very few people are expressing daily their gratitude for all that we have. very few people realize how lucky they are, actually. There's another little story here. There are two angels on a cloud, and one of these angels is going back and forth to the earth continuously, and the other one is just sitting there, not doing anything. So they're sitting there and says, well, you seem quite busy. What are you doing? What is your job? And he says, well, my job is to collect all the pleases from people, all the requests. And he says, well, what is your job? Because I see you sitting here for long periods of time. And he says, well, my job is to collect all the thank yous from people. So you see, this one angel had virtually no work, and the other one was continually please, 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 but very few thank yous, right, for what we get. Also, when we request, whatever we request, and that's the third part of prayer, is requesting. We can request answers, we can request help. We can either ask for answers or ask for help. It's important to have clarity about what we ask for, because there is an evolution in our desires. So we can ask for health, we can ask for money, we can ask for our job to go well, we can ask for healing for our loved ones. But these are not the highest things that we could ask for, because all of these have to do with our desires and our ego. And we desire health for us, we desire health for our loved ones. We're not asking for some kid in Africa. We're asking for our business to go well, for our children to do well at school. And there's a certain amount of ego-centeredness in this kind of prayer. There's another interesting story. There was this merchant who had 4 wives and went on a trip. And when he was there about to come back, he sent them a letter and told them, please write to me what you want me to bring you. And the first, the youngest wife, said, I'd like you to bring me any nice clothing and jewelry, which is there. The second wife said, I'd like you to bring me any medicines that are there because I'm not well. The third wife said, well, I would like you to bring me interesting books about philosophy and spirituality. And the fourth wife says, I don't want you to bring me anything, I want you to bring me yourself. She came back, and he gave the dresses and the jewelry, and he gave the medicines, and he gave the books, and they were all very happy. But then a few weeks passed by, and they didn't see the husband, and he was always staying with the fourth wife. And they started complaining. And he says, well, I gave to each of you what you asked for. You asked for jewelry, you asked for medicine, you asked for knowledge, she asked for me. So there is an evolution in what we can ask for. You know, we can ask for mundane things, for physical things, for material things, or we can just ask for union. We can ask that God clean us out and make us, allow us to become our real selves. We can ask for purification. We can ask for guidance. We can ask to be able to love unconditionally. We can ask to be able to be fair, without ego in our actions. So think about what you're asking. I mean, I think it's much more preferable to ask for help in our spiritual process and allow the physical things to be determined. Just saying, let your will be done. Whatever is best. Because, you know, I have stopped praying for people to get well. What I do is I just ask that light fill those people or fill those situations and allow the light itself to determine what is best. Because someone may evolve more through illness than through health. Someone may evolve, or we all may evolve more by someone's leaving their body rather than someone staying in their body. We feel that, oh, it's better for this person to live, or it's better for this person to be well. That's our very limited perception of things. The purpose of life is evolution. And evolution may be served by being well. It may be served by living. But it also, in some cases, may be served by leaving the physical body and may be served by going through illness. So I think it's better just to let light flow into various situations and allow God's wisdom to decide what is best in the situation. Of course, there's a way of combining that, and that is to bring into our minds what we would prefer to happen in the particular situation, placing it in a bubble of light, and then offering it to the divine. So in this way, we combine positive thinking or positive projection with surrender. Because we need both. We need to think positively, but we need to surrender the result. So I imagine what I would like this person to be healthy. I would like my child to succeed. But I put this in a bubble of light, in the sphere of light, and I offer it to God. And so I said, this is what I would like, but let your will be done. And so in this way we combine these two aspects of prayer, of stating our preference, but surrendering to a higher wisdom. Now the next question is whether prayer should be, what's the best kind of prayer? The simple speaking to God in a spontaneous way, or repeating some of these prayers that exist for centuries in the various religions. The positive aspect of these prayers which exist for centuries is that they have obtained a certain power by the continual repetition. They have their own energy source, and so they can bring higher energy into the physical level. But I prefer the prayer from the heart. That is, just speaking as you feel, like you're talking with your best friend. Of course, one can do both in life. But for me, it just seems logical that this has more energy. When you're just speaking from your heart, explaining what you feel, what you think, what you need, what is bothering you. So you may want to add prayer to your meditation. You may want to spend a little more time this week, if you feel like it, praying for 5 or 10 minutes before having a nice good talk with God. Perhaps sending some light to some people who need light, who need help at this time in their lives, and then moving in to your meditation process. Now another technique for this attuning ourselves to the divine is chanting. Chanting is a form of prayer in which we sing, and usually it's done with other people. First of all, there is the power of the vibrations on the physical body and the emotional body. It has been known now that by making especially vowel sounds, and if you notice the chanting of all religions, whether it's Christian or Muslim or Hindu or any religion, there's the extension of the vowels. You take the vowels and they let them flow. And this has a very healing effect on the body. Secondly, emotions are released. Thirdly, we are connecting with positive spiritual thoughts and ideas. The words have not only a vibrational effect, but the effect of their meaning. They represent realities. They represent either beings or spiritual qualities. So each word has its own power as a vibration and as a meaning. So and when we chant them together with other people, that adds to our sense of unity. We are agreeing, we are becoming one with our voices, with other people. And this can be a very uplifting experience. I mean, if you do some chanting in a group for half an hour, 2 hours, as much as you like. We have done some all-night chanting occasionally in the past. If you do it from about 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning, your mind is totally empty at the end, and the meditation is a totally different level of meditation once you have done this. You're creating a totally different energy around you and within you. So it opens up higher centers of consciousness that we mentioned. Now another way, except for prayer and chanting, is the repetition of a small prayer or of a spiritual virtue or the name of God while we are cooking, while we are driving, while we are walking, while we are doing anything which does not require that we think. So rather than allow our minds to go to all these usually negative thoughts and useless thoughts, we could be filling the mind during that period of time with Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me, or Christ, or the word love, or the word peace, or I am spiritual energy, I am divine energy. It could be an affirmation. So filling the mind with something positive. This purifies the mind from the tendency of having negative thoughts or egotistical thoughts, and creates a new habit. It creates a new vibrational level in the mind. So rather than wasting our time when we're driving, when we're washing the dishes, when we're cleaning the house, when we're doing anything which doesn't require thinking, we can have this prayer or these ideas in our minds. Okay, so I think that's pretty much what I wanted to express to you this week. We'll be discussing the relationship with God in other terms in the philosophy seminar, if you choose to go on to that. But now we're interested in the relationship with God in relationship to our meditation. Okay, so this is the third niyama. We had mentioned the purity of the body and the mind, and we had mentioned the cultivation of satisfaction, of being satisfied. And now we mentioned the third niyama. We're still on the first two steps of Raja Yoga. Okay, we've already mentioned not lying, not stealing, not feeling jealousy, and not being violent, keeping a clean body and mind, and cultivating satisfaction. And now we're adding a sense of devotion or surrender. Or in any way, if those words are heavy for you, developing a relationship with the divine in your own way. For you it may be nature. Your way of communing with the divine may be just to walk in nature. It may be to dance. I often feel the divine much more intensely when I dance. It may be when you paint, maybe when you cook. Find your own way. But these classical ways of praying, of chanting, of repeating the name of God are very valid and very useful. But they should be done with the heart. They should not be done mechanically. And also remember that we mentioned the possibility of reading books about people who have had this surrender and have had this strength. And all of these are supplemental to our meditation and will help us in our meditation. So let us do our meditation, and then if you have any questions about this, we can do that. Okay. Be sure that your body is in an upright position, the spine straight. Allow the eyes to be closed. And begin to focus on your breathing. Breathing more slowly and more deeply. Now we can begin the alternate breathing as we alternate the nostrils slowly and deeply. Focusing on the rhythm of the breath, so that our inhalation comes into the solar plexus. We hold in the heart center. We exhale as the energy flows up through the neck, up into the forehead center, where we keep without air. Square breathing, moving the energy upward with each breath. Continue a little more, alternating the nostrils, bringing the energy upward. Now you can allow your breathing to follow its own pattern. Allow it to be relaxed. Check your body position. Allow your legs to be relaxed. Allow your abdomen to be relaxed. Feel your solar plexus. Allow it to open and relax. Feel your shoulders. Allow your shoulders to relax. Allow your neck to relax. Feel the muscles of your face. Allow your jaw to be relaxed. Allow your cheeks to relax. And allow your eyes to relax. And allow your forehead to relax. Your forehead. Now take some time to communicate sincerely from the heart with God, with the divine. begin to focus on the light in the center of your forehead. You may see it, you may feel it, you may imagine it. Allow the light to expand, to permeate all of your skull, all of your brain. Allow the light to flow into your face, relaxing your facial muscles. Down into your neck and throat. Into your shoulders. Into your arms and hands. Sensation, the vibration of light. Feel the light in the center of your chest. Allow the light to expand and fill all the chest. Let it flow into the solar plexus, relaxing that area. Let it flow into the abdomen, relaxing. Into your pelvis, and into the legs. Allowing the light to fill all the body. If there are parts of the body which have not yet opened, let them open and relax now. And allow the light to expand and be around the body. Now, the light around you unites with the light within. You experience yourself as energy, light, consciousness. And you begin and focusing on the object of concentration, which helps you most. feel you are ready, you can gradually come back to a waking state of consciousness. Okay, yes? Yeah, it's a sound. Yeah.
It's like a current.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, you can focus on that. Mm.
Actually, I'm having difficulty focusing on something like this. One time it seems to be something, another time fluctuating.
Yeah.
And my body seems to be fighting a lot of this.
Sitting.
Against meditation at the moment. I suppose the 20 minutes seems to be interminable at the beginning. And then suddenly I said, oh, it's finished and I want to go on. I want to go on.
Right. Your body has, you have pains?
Not really, no.
There's nervousness? Lack of patience?
No.
What is it then in the body?
Perhaps also the fact that it's exactly with my job at the moment, and I've got a lot of things there. Maybe I'm really well.
Okay, so there's a certain amount of impatience. You think you have things to do. The mind is going outwards. But you see, that will always be there. The mind will always have something to do, unless you're on vacation or something. So it's good to keep it going. Just let the mind know that whatever it has to do, you for 20 minutes, because 20 minutes is not a lot in comparison to 24 hours, that you want to give this energy to connecting with something higher, something deeper. The mind will seek to think of other things. Don't be attached to the result. Whatever happens, just focus on the process, and okay, even if for 5 seconds you manage to be focused, that's a benefit. Okay, so that's fine. Okay. Yeah, this is the nature of the mind. Sai Baba says it's like a drunken monkey stung by a bee. It doesn't sit. It's a matter of practice and patience. Yeah.
I would say that with meditation and with taking care of I think when my food a lot with the help of your philosophy, I've managed to raise my eyes. For
Good.
the first time I've been that good in
Good.
my test. And I felt really,
Yes.
really happy about that.
Yes. It's true that.
But maybe somebody else's result. I was looking for my name.
It's true that, when the body is peaceful, all of the functions of the body, including the absorption of minerals, of vitamins, of nutrients, and the digestion, the body is even able to create vitamins and transmute things, as long as there is a peaceful inner state. So peace is very important for our health. Did you want to say? Yes, it's too much. Yeah. Well, gradually, I suspect that you'll be able to handle the intensity. So what's happening here is like this: we're putting more energy through a wire than is used to going through that wire, and it's like burning it. And so, it's a matter of getting used to being able to sustain that. Your awareness in that light. Gradually you'll be able to.
When I'm doing the alternative breathing, now I've been doing that for years, I never had any problem before. But I find it very difficult in meditation to do alternative breathing. I just get confused with the raising the energy levels. I don't know.
Well, you're not just doing alternate breathing, you're controlling the rhythm of the breath, and you're focusing on the energy center. So you're doing 3 things at one time, which requiring...
Two of the things I've been doing for years, but it's this energy level.
Okay, yeah.
And
Because what's happening is you're encountering the resistance which exists between the chakras, between the energy centers. And this can create thoughts, it can create tension, it can create resistance. And so it's quite natural. Of course, we do this not during the meditation, but just in the beginning. Huh?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
If I get so much resistance, is it better to leave it or not? Because sometimes it's really, I mean, I feel awful. I feel as if I've been fighting with my body.
For how long?
5 minutes.
No, it's okay. I would suggest that you do it because you're coming in contact with subconscious resistance, which is there, and it's affecting you somewhere in your life. This is a cleaning mechanism. It's like saying, it's unpleasant to clean this room because it's so dirty and the dust is coming in my eyes and it's bothering me. So this is just the dust coming into your eyes. And so you're cleaning. So I think it is worth it. But, you know, in a balanced way. 5 minutes.
Yes.
It's enough. Anything else? Okay, well then think about